a Russian drone has landed in Latvia. It seems like Russia has violated another country's airspace, which is not good. Russia is just showing a proclivity to breaking other countries, especially the neighbors' airspace. Although Russia has also been sort of probing other countries by flying their little spy planes that have been escorted. That has been a thing as well. People forget, but Russia has done such things. The I believe it's a Shahed drone. It had an explosive strapped on. It was supposed to go to Ukraine through Belarus. It landed in Latvia. The explosive strapped onto the drone did not explode, and it was taken care of by a crew, Latvian crew. But it doesn't change the fact that Russia has once again violated a different country's space, and that NATO is basically being intruded upon without any repercussion. Which I guess I could be talking about the incident itself, but instead I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about something else. And that is once again the topic of shooting down missiles above the Ukrainian sky, which has been a constant topic recently. It has been a thing that Ukraine has been asking over and over and over again, and as with many other things, has been told many over and over and over again no, basically. And I will add to that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Radosław Sikorski, has recently said that it is the duty of the so-called frontline countries to shoot down incoming missiles from above Ukrainian territory. Sikorski's rationale behind this is that once the missiles, drones, or whatever enter the Polish or whichever else's country's airspace, then shooting down those things create risk for civilians, for example, or to infrastructure. Because even if you shoot down a missile, even you should shoot down a drone, debris will sort of, fragments of those things will fall down and destroy things, possibly kill people, which is a thing that also should always be taken into consideration. But there is also one other aspect that has been brought to light. Well, not to light. It's just been pointed out by Radosław Sikorski. A thing that is not really super widely discussed, which surprises me for one. I have not been thinking all that much about this aspect of the whole situation, but as it turns out, Russian missiles, and especially North Korean missiles, I'm not sure about the Iranian brand of drones, are not very reliable. They actually quite often become lost, stray from their course, and just fly wherever and hit random targets, which, as Radosław Sikorski has pointed out, is a problem in a city that has nuclear power plants in it, and that countries that are near Ukraine should basically assist in shooting down missiles and other types of flying destructive vehicles. Because what if, for example, a stray missile hits a nuclear power plant and all of a sudden we're all in trouble? All of a sudden it becomes an international nuclear crisis because NATO was afraid of escalating the conflict. And that's not exactly a super unrealistic, impossible scenario that missile that is not shut down just sort of gets out of control and by some freak accident hits a nuclear power plant. What now? You know? That's not something out of the question, since the Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs has loudly pointed it out and said that's a big reason for to assist in shooting down missiles above um, Ukrainian territory. And of course, not to mention the fact that Russia is just willy-nilly creating this situation in which it can violate um, NATO countries' airspace with their, I don't know, missiles, drones, and what have you, with no repercussion. I would remind you that a missile designed to shoot down Russian missiles has actually killed 2 people in Poland. So that actually means that there are 2 Polish victims that died in Poland due to this war. There are 2 victims of this war that have died on Polish territory. And yet, zero consequence, zero reaction. Imagine the opposite. Imagine if a NATO missile from NATO drone, straight into Russian territory. Imagine if that would happen. If there would be no response, if there would be nothing. Like, NATO's too afraid. NATO's too afraid to act. The least NATO could do is to at least, like, shoot down the missiles above its territory. And what it actually should do is to shoot them down above Ukrainian territory. But I guess that's not happening. The drone that crashed in Latvia was just being monitored. Nothing else. It's, I guess it's a lucky thing that the explosive that was strapped onto it did not go off. Although I'm not sure just how much danger it posed to anybody where it crashed. Russia's getting really bold when it comes to these things. Of course, you could say that it just strayed. But, you know, maybe Russia's probing. Poland's airspace has been violated at this point like 5 different times with no real consequences or no real meaningful sort of reaction. So at this point, I don't know. At this point, it just feels weird. It just feels like, in some regards, Russia can do whatever it wants, and the countries involved will just do nothing. What would happen if a Russian missile again strays into Polish territory and actually kills someone because Poland will not shoot it down? What would happen then? Would there still be literally zero response? Zero anything? I mean, technically speaking, that scenario that I'm talking about has already happened. Even if it's Ukrainian anti-air missile that did the killing in that particular case, it's still basically the scenario that I'm describing here. Because NATO forbids it, Poland has announced, at least the Minister of Defense of Poland has announced that Poland will not be shooting down missiles above Ukrainian territory without NATO giving its okay. Or was it? Yeah, NATO. Although there were voices, I'm not sure if it was Sikorski who said that Poland should do it with or without NATO's okay. Technically speaking, they can, but I mean, I'm not so sure. In this case, if a country sort of shoots down, then it could be considered the country defending itself, which would be considered Russia attacking the country. And if one NATO country is attacked, then all of them are considered attack. Maybe it would be different if a NATO country would be attacking, for example, would be supporting Ukraine with troops on its own. Then it would be sort of acting on its own, and the rest of NATO would not be involved in that scenario, I suppose. But other than that, I have no clue. I just wish NATO, and in particular countries that neighbor Ukraine, would do a bit more, would be a bit more assertive when it comes to violation of its airspace. Belarus apparently was far more assertive when it comes to these things. It just shut down the Russian drones or whatever, or missiles or whatever came into their territory. If Belarus can do it, why can't other countries do it? I leave you with this question. And the answer is they should. They should. Okay. Thank you.